I started using substances around 13 years old. Um, and it was the first time in my life that I really had kind of felt whole, had felt comfortable. So I clung to that. It started with some pretty limited use, of alcohol and some other drugs. And of course, that just accelerated as I got older. About my early to mid 20s, I injured my back at work and was introduced to opiate painkillers. Like a lot of people I've talked to, that's kind of where that path starts. It was hard for me to look at as it being a problem, especially where I'd got it in a legitimate way. Of course, that ended pretty quickly. I couldn't get painkillers through my doctor anymore. So, I turned to buying prescription drugs on the street. When that became too expensive, I started using heroin. There was a point in my life where I really knew that I had a problem. And by then it was too late. By then it was like, what can I do about it? And I think that's something that people experience a lot, is just not knowing that there's a way to get away from it, that there's a way out. I had just gotten caught in this kind of tidal pool, and there was a point where I really kind of came to the realization that the end would be probably me dying. My first experience with getting a touch of recovery is I'd gone into an emergency room now where I'm from, something unrelated. And at some point in the interview with the doctor, when he was talking to me, it just kind of fell out of my mouth. I told him that I was a drug addict and that I needed help. So they sent me through to the crisis unit, and I remember this woman, because I told her, that if I couldn't do something about this, I didn't see a point in living. And she understood that. She wasn't looking at me as being a bad person. So that, I started to get a taste of recovery and going to mutual aid groups and peer support groups. It didn't end for me there. Unfortunately, I kind of switched substances at this point. I decided, well, I can drink still, it's alcohol's legal. And so I started drinking again, and it was pretty apparent pretty quickly that probably I couldn't use any substances. I came up to this area, to the Bangor area, to visit my sister for the holidays. I knew she was in recovery, making an effort at it, and we went to a meeting at the Barn, the Bangor Recovery Network, and it was my first experience with them, and I met some great people in that time when I was up here, and I kind of consciously made this decision that I was gonna, put everything I could into this. So I packed my things up and moved to Bangor. Literally with like a backpack, a duffel bag, and my guitar case, and I was in pretty rough shape. When I came up here. I had kind of the mountain man beard, and I was very scraggly, and I didn't know where I was gonna go or what I was gonna do, but I had met this community of people, of recovering people, who told me that it was going to be okay. The kindness of some people around me helped me through that first rough period. And really, it was the community, it was the recovery community that helped me kind of get my feet back under me. And instantly I saw how that reciprocal relationship was working, that these people were doing this for me because somebody had done it for them. So I started to find purpose in that. I started volunteering at the Barn. I started putting my time into trying to help other people. And I kind of developed a passion. It's like for the first time in my life, I was kind of like, I could do something that I love with this. Because it didn't matter to me, how much money I was making. I just was doing something that really meant something to me and it fulfilled me. Putting down the substances was just the beginning. It was really about rebuilding myself as a person. And of course, to do that, you need community, home, support, because that's really who we are. In our community where the barn is, we are very, very embraced and supported by law enforcement, by the city council, just people in the community. They don't see the recovery community as those people. The willingness for collaboration in the community and between organizations is just amazing, and I think it shows that we're breaking down some barriers, and that's the way we're going to do it. If we all work together, this is everybody's problem.